Welcome to Stats Madness. Joining me today is Frank Hardy, our tactical expert. We're breaking down Chelsea versus Manchester United, final score 0-1. Chelsea sits 6th with 48 points, while United is 3rd on 55. Let's start with Chelsea's performance. Chelsea's performance had its ups and downs. How did the stats tell a different story?
Despite losing 0-1, Chelsea dominated possession with 60% compared to United's 40%. They also fired 21 shots against just 4 from United, showcasing a 68% differential in attacking volume, yet no goals were scored, highlighting inefficiencies in capitalising on their control on the pitch.
Despite Chelsea's shot advantage last time, how did they fare in key performance categories?
Chelsea showed attacking superiority with 54.2 against United's 14.8, a 57% edge. However, in defence, United excelled with 48.5 compared to Chelsea's 27.8, a 27% advantage. For possession, Chelsea again led with 67.1 over United's 46.1, a 19% difference. These dynamics paint a complex picture of dominance.
Given Chelsea's lead in possession, what about their attacking execution? Did they capitalise on that advantage?
Interestingly, Chelsea's attacking prowess showed with 11 shots inside the box compared to United's 1. They also hit the woodwork 3 times while United didn't at all. This indicates a significant defensive edge for Chelsea.
Wait, really? And how did United's defence respond to such pressure?
United's defence was resilient, making 13 blocks to Chelsea's 2. They also led in saves, with 3 to Chelsea's 1. Despite Chelsea's aggressive attack, United's defence held its ground effectively.
United's defence held strong, but how did the momentum shift throughout the match?
Chelsea dominated several key intervals. Between 15 to 30 minutes, they had 63.9% possession, surging in crosses and successful passes. Post-halftime, Chelsea fired 10 shots to United's 0 in the 60-75-minute window. Their accurate crosses peaked there too, scoring 5 to United's none. Chelsea's passing accuracy was pronounced from 45 to 60 minutes, completing 116 passes, dwarfing United's 62. This clear tactical advantage in critical intervals defined Chelsea's overall control.
Chelsea's control was evident, but how did their performance today stack up against their season averages?
Chelsea's match was exceptional. They hit the woodwork 3 times compared to their 0.78 season average. Total shots skyrocketed to 21, a significant leap from their usual 13.69. Accurate crosses also saw a notable increase, with 8 today versus a 3.66 season average. These elevated numbers highlight Chelsea's aggressive and effective tactics in this game.
With Chelsea's shots soaring, how do their league standings reflect their overall identity this season?
An interesting contrast, Jamie. Chelsea's identity crisis is notable in big chances created. They had none today against a season average of 3.03, which is well above the league's 2.27 average. However, they excel in passes.
Wait, really? So, despite scoring woes, their passing remains a hallmark?
Exactly. Chelsea's 602 passes today highlight their elite status, outpacing the league average of 437.3. This places them in the top 5% for passing, confirming their possession strength.
Chelsea's league standings show promise, but against the top 6, where do they stand in key metrics?
Chelsea leads in big chances created with a season average of 3.03, ahead of Manchester City's 3.16. However, their shots total of 13.69 lags behind Manchester United's 16.0. They're neck and neck with peers in long passes at 53.0, and ball possession at 60% closely matches Liverpool and Arsenal. This mixed performance highlights areas for improvement.
So Chelsea's performance against the top 6 is mixed. How does Manchester United fare against their season averages?
Manchester United posted 13 blocks today, far above their 3.31 season average. However, they only managed 1 goal attempt and 4 shots total, significantly below their respective averages of 10.72 and 16.0. Interestingly, they recorded 3 saves, exceeding their season average of 2.28. This stark contrast in defensive and offensive metrics highlights areas needing attention.
Given Manchester United's defensive focus today, how do they stand in their league identity overall?
Jamie, it's an intriguing mix. Today's 1-goal attempt is a striking dip, considering they usually lead the league at 10.72. Their identity crisis isn't a one-off, as seen in their successful crosses percentage, hitting just 9.1 today, way off their 28.16 average.
Wait, really? So they're usually top tier but struggled today?
Exactly. While they sit in the top 5% for successful long passes, they only managed 16 today, below their 22.59 season average. This deviation from their identity highlights an area for tactical review.
We just explored their league standing, but how does Manchester United compare to their closest peers?
Manchester United stays competitive in shots total, averaging 16.0, outpacing Manchester City's 14.84. However, they trail in ball possession, with 53.09% against Liverpool's 59.84%. Their long passes average of 49.84 tops Arsenal's 44.34, yet they lag in big chances created at 2.81, behind Chelsea's 3.03. It's a mixed bag against top-tier teams.
Interesting comparisons with other top teams. Now, how did individual players fare in the latest match?
Enzo Fernandez excelled for Chelsea with a 7.91 rating, a midfield powerhouse. Wesley Fofana impressed in defence at 7.56. On Manchester United's side, Bruno Fernandes led the forward line with 7.54, while Aiden Heaven held a solid 7.47 in defence. In goal, Seny Lamens secured a firm 7.3 rating, demonstrating vital saves. These standout performances underscore the tactical depth of each squad.
After those stellar player ratings, let's talk about how Enzo Fernandez's performance compared to his season average.
Enzo Fernandez turned in a consistent rating, showing with 7.91, right in line with his 7.25 average. However, it was a tough outing for him in duels 1.0 is well below his 4.24 seasonal standard. On a brighter note, his key passes hit a personal best with 5.0, and he excelled in passes in final third, registering 17.0, significantly above his 8.39 average.
Enzo Fernandez's game mirrored his season averages, but how does he stack up against league benchmarks?
Enzo Fernandez, midfielder, is exceptional, ranking in the top 2% for rating at 7.91 against a league norm of 6.8. His passes in final third are just as impressive, hitting 17 per game, dwarfing the 4.32 league average. These stats confirm he's performing at an elite level compared to peers, like Declan Rice of Arsenal, who averages 8.1 in the same category.
Enzo Fernandez is clearly above league norms, but how does he fare against his positional peers?
Well, Enzo has some ground to cover. His duels 1 average of 4.2 lags behind peers like Elliot Anderson, who averages 5.3. Similarly, his ball recovery at 4.1 is shy of Anderson's 5.2. These figures suggest Enzo excels in some areas but could improve defensively compared to his peers.
We just covered Enzo's peer comparison, but how does Wesley Fofana stack up against his own season performance?
Wesley Fofana's rating of 7.56 this season is consistent with his 6.98 average, showing stability. However, his tackles and duels 1 percentage are at 0.0, trailing his usual 1.58 and 54.23. Additionally, aerials 1 is 0 versus his 58.71 standard. These numbers indicate some areas for improvement despite his steady overall rating.
Fofana's season average has been stable, but how does he rank across the league as a centre-back?
Wesley Fofana stands out remarkably in the league. His rating of 7.56 places him in the elite 80.9th percentile among centre-backs. To put that in context, he surpasses peers like James Garner from Everton at 7.35 and Rodri from Manchester City at 7.28. This performance highlights Fofana's exceptional consistency and impact in his position this season.
Speaking of standout performances, let's shift to Bruno Fernandes's metrics. How does he compare to his own season averages?
Bruno Fernandes delivered a solid performance with a rating of 7.54, closely aligning with his 7.76 average. However, he fell short in assists and chances created, achieving just 1.0 assists compared to his 1.2 average, and 3.0 chances created against a 3.36 benchmark. In key passes, he managed 3.0, slightly below his 3.76 average. Despite these dips, his rating remains impressive.
We just touched on Bruno's consistent rating, but how does he stack up against the league? Is he setting any benchmarks?
Incredible, Jamie. Bruno Fernandes ranks in the top 2% for rating at 7.54 versus the league average of 6.84. He's also elite in key passes, hitting a 3.0 average, placing him in the top 1% against a league norm of 1.8. Similarly, in chances created, he's in the top 1% with 3.0, well above the league average of 1.77. Truly standout numbers.
We saw how Bruno is leading the league, but what about Aiden Heaven? How does he compare to his own average?
Aiden Heaven maintained a solid rating of 7.47, which is right on par with his 6.8 season average. However, his interceptions and shots blocked both hit 0.0, a clear drop from his usual 1.0. Additionally, his duels 1 percentage was at 0.0, significantly below the 75.0 mark he's known for, making it an off day overall for him.
After Aiden's comparison, let's switch gears to Seny Lamens. How did his recent performance stack up against his season averages?
Seny Lamens turned in a consistent rating, showing with 7.3, right in line with his 6.72 average. However, it was a tough outing in punches with 0.0, well below the 1.75 seasonal standard. His good high claim also dipped slightly to 1.0 from a 1.53 average. Interestingly, he kept his goalkeeper goals conceded at 0.0, a significant improvement from the 1.62 average.
Reflecting on Senna Lamans, today's conversation highlighted Manchester United's 1-0 victory and Chelsea's 60% possession shaping the tactical battle. A big thank you to Frank Hardy for his expert analysis. Thanks for tuning in to this tactical breakdown. See you next time, folks.